Good afternoon and welcome to Child Psychology Online. Welcome to week 9 as we have been talking about children this last week, looking at children's behavior, I suppose, as we had this little video from the child at Disney World. Um, I always like to expose students to that. These are scenarios that are very accessible because we've probably all seen children at some point lose control. Um, the point of this week, what we were learning in socio-emotional development, parenting issues, peer issues, and all that. I think the deal there is that we understand that we are getting to a point in this lifespan development that the child is now ready to learn how to make good decisions. I'll call these moral decisions. Maybe some people don't like that word moral because they think of everything as good and evil, which some of morality is, but it's also more the issue of making a choice and seeing some kind of circumstance as a choice, that there are different things that one can do, that there will be some of those choices would be better to fit the situation than other choices. um, Certainly, of course, there are some things that are just plain right and wrong or good and evil kind of things. Most things, though, that we make decisions about, probably we could say something is wrong in one case, but in another case would be a better choice or something like that. So here we have a discussion of this child at Disney World. Purposefully, I post this purposefully because it's open ended and there isn't a lot of explanation about the circumstances. So I really wanted to see what would you say, um, because that really shows a lot shows us a lot about ourselves as far as how do we approach parenting, how do we approach child development, what are the issues that are at play here. Some people fall under the category of behaviorists. Kirsten, you mentioned that it is possible. I mean, you said a lot of good things, but you said one of the things that you mentioned was that possibly what had happened was the child was reinforced for behaving the way he does. And so in those cases, we look at that child losing and we say, well, how do people respond? Do they respond in a way that the child would determine, oh, that will work, that will help me to get my way, or whatever? Or do we respond in a way that's the behaviorist where we just focus on what the child is doing? Or the other choice is a more cognitive approach where we would be more concerned about why the child is acting that way in the first place. And so I think Kiara, I think it is, that you talked a lot about the parents and communicating. I think Deneb, you also said that it didn't seem like the parents were very responsive. Not necessarily that this is a cognitive approach, but many times that you see children act up, and you might see what people do in response to that behavior is what they're doing is just in responding to the behavior. There still is that question mark about why the child's doing it in the first place. And if we really want children to develop this ability to see a situation as being a moral issue, a right or wrong situation, and we want children then to be able to weigh consequences of each of the choices beforehand and then make a choice, then we would probably want to take them through some kind of process involving communication, feelings. And so there is that. Kalia, you seem to have a very strong interpretation as far as it was apparent to you that the child just wasn't getting his way, which is an issue. Do we want to teach children that their way is the only choice? Certainly, those of us are now. I'm way older than any of you, I'm sure, but I would say I have learned something in my life that very rarely in every choice do I get to do it my way. Okay. Um, Most of the time, there is some kind of compromise there. So, wouldn't that be a good thing to teach children early as possible, that they won't get their way all the time, what to do when they don't get their way, and how to compromise and all that? I don't know, but that's a question that we can answer. So as we're moving forward in this week, and I believe that we're going to start to look at this next group, next age group of middle childhood, we definitely want to see how those issues, especially like discipline, emotional regulation, and those pro-social behaviors, are carried over into the middle childhood when we're starting to see children in the context of school and being a part of the larger world rather than just families and stuff like that. So anyway, I hope you have a great week as you're thinking about these issues, and take care of yourselves.